think a lot of girls realize this, but the moment that man stops paying for you is the moment he stops liking you. Let's talk about it. It was like weekend 2 of this guy and I hanging out, and I will never forget, we are in the line of Chick-fil-A and he like lets me order first, but he's like keeping the distance, so I just pulled out my debit card and paid for my meal. And that's when I realized that the energy had shifted. Prior to that, he was paying for all of our meals, he was pursuing me, he was like trying to impress me and date me. In that moment of me paying for my Chick-fil-A, I felt like his homie.
Greetings and salutations, my brothers. Welcome to the ministry. On today's episode, we're looking the modern woman as she makes absurd demands of men. Though it is true, men are traditionally supposed to be the providers to the family. Modern women have taken this and twisted it into something that is completely absurd and unreasonable. In the modern woman's eyes, a man's value is based purely on the size and generosity of his wallet. If he's not willing to take her out on lavish dates, expensive meals, and cover her bills, then he is not a man and not worthy to bask in her presence. And they take great offense at any man who reminds her that he is not a piggy bank. He's under no obligation to pay for anything, especially when the modern woman makes it clear she is unwilling to provide anything to the man in return. The man must prove his worth with his money, and this logic will lead her directly to the wall. But before we begin, if you haven't already, we kindly invite you to subscribe to the Ministry of Masculinity. Society has unanimously decided that men are second-class citizens. Men are blamed for all of the world's ills. Unless they fit into an incredibly specific mold, they are neither to be seen nor heard. Men are treated like criminals despite committing no crimes. And when they try to form communities to build each other up, they are quickly pointed out to be hateful, exclusionary beds of misogyny and hate. But nothing could be further from the truth. There is nothing wrong or hateful for men to have their own places to witness the sheer hypocrisy in today's world. Which is why it's so important for these spaces to grow, so we can build each other up, so the other side won't be able to cut us down. So, let's work together to keep improving ourselves, my brothers. Now, on to today's video.
Hey guys, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to break down just how expensive it is to be a woman in today's day and age. It's important to keep in mind that I'm a woman in my 30s, so I don't represent all women everywhere, and also I live in Los Angeles, so things are obviously a little bit more expensive here than they are other places in the world. But this is just to give you a general idea. Okay, so let's start with my tier 1 of products that I use every single morning when I wake up. Let me know if you'd like an individual price breakdown, but this totals to about $650 in product. Next is my nighttime routine. These products total about $610. Again, happy to include a price breakdown per item for you, should you request it. Now on to hair products. So products alone, I'm gonna say are around $200 to $300, and then there's the actual tools. This blow dryer alone costs $300. Let me just point out that I did get that on sale, but still. So if we're talking the total of the tools, that's probably another $500 to $600 right there. Of course, it's important to keep in mind that lots of these are one-time purchases. And most of the products last between 3 to 4 months, but these are still things that we have to pay for that you don't. Now let's talk about my face. The Botox that I get costs me about $250 every 3 to 4 months. The filler that I get costs me about $750 about once a year. Now let's talk about my body. That laser hair removal that I get, it costs me about $280 every 3 months. The spray tan that I'm getting later today is gonna cost me $60. And the Pilates class that I went to this morning cost me $30 or $200 a month for an unlimited membership. Oh shoot, and I almost forgot my manicures and pedicures. Yeah, so that's about $100 every 2 weeks. Oh, of course, and then there's makeup. Yeah, right. All that stuff, and there's way more of it too under my sink. It's hard for me to total all that up, but ballpark, and this is me being on the conservative end of things, I'd say it's about $1,000 worth of product, and that's just the stuff that I use every day. Please don't tell me we're not the ones telling you to do all of that. Here's the thing. There's a lot of pressure to be hairless, tan, poreless, beautiful people. And you know who put those beauty standards in place? Men. You know who owns lots of those beauty companies and fashion companies and famous lingerie brands? Men. So if you're gonna tell me what I should wear and how I should look, the least you can do is buy me a drink.
The whole concept of men paying for a woman on a date is one of the most absurd pieces of hypocrisy to come from the community of modern women. On one hand, they claim that they don't need a man for anything, that they are strong, independent, and capable of taking care of themselves. They brag about it constantly. They love to rub that fact in men's faces. But then they turn around and then say that a man isn't a real man unless he buys her dinner and pays her bills. She makes all sorts of excuses. She blames societal beauty standards. She blames the economy. She'll even blame the media. But the one thing she won't do is take responsibility and pay her fair share for anything. She wants to be celebrated for every minor thing she accomplishes, but demands pampering for everything else. And she wants the man to pay for it all.
Okay, so I just got into my car after going on a date, right? And let me just tell you something. I don't know what the deal is with, like, men now, but I had told him prior that I will be having pre and post date expenses, and is that okay, and are you going to cover them? And I don't know if he wasn't listening or like what the deal was or whatever, but when I handed him the white envelope, he looked shocked, and then he opened it and it's receipts. Hello, pre post date expenses. Hello, like what kind of females do you be dating? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so I handed it to him and he literally looked shocked at me and said, I can't cover this. It was $478 for pre and post date expenses. You asked me on a date, and mind you, we really didn't even have that good a conversation because he was on his phone the whole time, and I have a very strict no phone policy on dates. Hello, you're here to pay attention to me. Look at all the effort that I had to put into going on this date, and now you have a problem with pre and post date expenses? Are you fucking kidding?
Dating has become nothing more than a transactional exchange. Modern women expected to be compensated for their time and reimbursed for the products they bought long before meeting with the men. She looks at men the same way she does an accounting firm. In her eyes, she thinks she got ready for the man, so therefore, he should pay for the privilege. And after making all of these demands, she has the nerve to look at that man and say she owes him nothing in return, as if the man is thinking the same way she is. The man could demand the same. He could demand the woman covers the cost of his clothes, his toiletries, his internet, gas, and utilities, and he would be looked at as crazy. But he doesn't do that because he knows it's crazy. Dating used to be about getting to know another person to see if there's a future, but now it's nothing more than trying to bilk a man for as much money as possible. It's just not worth it anymore.
I don't know who needs to hear this today, but if a man buys you dinner, you do not owe him your body or really anything afterwards. I saw a video the other day of a guy who said that a woman who lets a man pay for her meals automatically gives away her freedom. The notion that a man putting his credit card down at dinner automatically puts me in a proverbial jail is absolutely freaking ridiculous. Because if a man thinks he owns you after buying a meal for you, that is not a man that lives in the 21st century. That is a man that thinks that the law of coverture from the Middle Ages still apply and that women are property once they marry. And I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Women aren't property anymore. They have careers, they own property, and they're smart enough to realize that you can have a man pay for your dinner and still make more money than him, because it's not about the money, it's about the gesture. And a man who has a problem paying for the first few dates is going to have a problem later down the line being gracious about anything, because he's always going to be afraid you're taking advantage of him. So he's going to spin the narrative that the only way you retain your freedom as a woman is if the relationship is split exactly 50-50 down the middle, when in reality he's unable to bear your children. So where's the fairness in that? Ladies, I hope you remember that wanting a man to be chivalrous does not make you any less of a strong, independent woman. It just makes you a woman who realizes that a strong, independent man making his own paper is not going to have time or energy to give a rat's behind about what paying for your dinner may or may not mean.
The entitlement from modern women has gotten out of hand, and men have walked away. The idea that men owe women some form of compensation for their own irresponsible spending habits, combined with the lack of personality or even basic human empathy, has left a bad taste in the mouths of men. And modern women cannot stand that men are doing this. They don't think it's fair. She thinks that because she exists, that she deserves for someone to pay her way when it comes to everything. But it doesn't work that way. Men don't want to throw their hard-earned money into a bottomless pit, especially in these times when the price for everything is on the rise. The expectations are not only unreasonable, they're downright disrespectful. And no man deserves to be treated as if he's a walking cash machine. And so long as modern women refuse to accept that, the longer they will find themselves alone, without any hope of finding a relationship of any kind. And that's going to do it for today's video, my brothers. If you found yourself enjoying this content, then we hope we have earned your subscription to the Ministry of Masculinity. Be sure to like this video and share with as many of our fellow brothers as you can as well. Thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next episode of the Ministry of Masculinity.